dirt mound on each side of the lane. It's not a hedge. That said, obviously there are areas in the UK where you do have hedges at ground level, and you're driving along beside the hedge. I would suggest things like Oxygen David's farms tend to be fairly accurate for the region that he is modelling. Okay, some of the stores may not exist, the vehicle store may not exist, the BGA may not exist. He adds those because you kind of need them to be able to run a farm. And he provides a number of sell points just to give variety. And those yards are very well done, in spite of the fact they may not be based in entirely real life situations. But he does meet the sort of, it feels right. The hedgerows, maybe the farms he's modelling do have the dirt mounds around them, and he can't be bothered to map those into his maps, and it's easier just to put a hedge there. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I've never been to any of the locations that he's modelled. I suppose these days you could Google Maps it and see what it really looks like. But yeah, it's good enough, and this is good enough. It kind of feels right. It's not necessarily 100% authentic, but I don't think Glenleathann is based on an actual location. I think it is in the spirit of, much like Maypole was in the spirit of. And I'm okay with that. I like to feel that the map is possible, as opposed to, yeah, I just made this up and, who knows what I should have included or shouldn't have included. Similar thing is true of people who do model railroading. Some will model an absolute precise location. I'm thinking there's one guy, Bexhill West, YouTube channel, and he is attempting to model precisely a location that existed in history, or at least as precisely as he can make it. So much so, he is building his own track. So he's got a lot of YouTube videos on how to build your own track. He's just got into 3D printing resin and laser cutting, so he can cut his own sleepers. He can or rail ties. He can print his own chairs. So all he has to buy is the metal rails, and everything else is he produces himself. But it means he can get a far more accurate to real life layout of tracks. A lot of people will, I'm going to use off-the-shelf tracks. So there are some switch layouts that I just cannot model because the geometry of the store-bought tracks just don't allow for it. And so being close is good enough. It's not an exact representation. I've taken a little bit of liberties due to the tools that I'm using and the skills that I have to model approximately the location I'm interested in. Then you have Everard Junction and Dean Park. They are not modelling a location, but Everard Junction is 1980s western region. So the main line out of Paddington. It's a 4-track main line, so it gives him a lot of opportunity to sit and watch 4 trains go by on 4 loops. So he can constantly have something moving and just sit and watch it when he feels like it. But everything else, he's going out and photographing areas close to the western main line, so his buildings look right for the region. The station building looks right for the region. The landscaping looks right for the region and for the time frame that he's modelling. But it's not an accurate representation of a place. It's a feels right location of the place. And Dean Park similar. He's modelling Scottish, I think late 1980s, early 1990s. But again, he's basing it on Waverley Place, which is in Edinburgh, the mainline station in Edinburgh. Waverley Place has 16 platforms. He's got 5. So he doesn't have the space to model Waverley Place, but he has the space to it feels like a small Waverley Place. There's bits missing, there's liberties taken with the actual place, but it's enough there that this isn't Waverley Place, it's Dean Park, and if there was such a place based on the architecture around Edinburgh, this is what Dean Park could potentially look like if it was a real place. So it's how you do things. So when it comes to things like the Old Stream Farm, I love that map because it makes me feel like I'm in countryside France, in small villages which haven't been really touched by modern technology. So all of the little old houses are still there. You might have satellite dish on the side of the house, but that's about as far as the technology's got. The old before billboards were a thing, they would paint commercials on the side. Here is a solid brick wall with no windows. I'm going to paint a commercial for a Bourneville dark chocolate drink. And those are now faded, the paint's cracked. You can still see what it used to be, but it's seriously worn out. But it's authentic. People don't clean up that stuff. In the Midlands, where factories have closed, in the Midlands of England, where factories have closed down, you can still see the name painted, or the different weathering features on the brickwork that show where the sign for the company that owned the factory was and what the company's name was. It's different shades of dirt on the brickwork. And those things, they bring you closer to feeling like, yes, I'm in England. Yes, I'm in rural France. Yes, I'm wherever. And they feel right in spite of the fact they're not based on any real location. And you've got other map makers that just throw together a map and, hey, here's 40 fields and I think this place is probably in, Germany, and just play it and have fun, and don't worry about things not looking right. I've taken, you take the Giants buildings and just use them as is, and in part it's what Cavalier Roy does. He doesn't generally make his own buildings, whereas Oxygen David does. So you look at an Oxygen David map and the buildings are unique, and they look right for the area, and he does take a lot of time modelling buildings, where other people will just, I'll take a Giants building and use that because it's easier. And maybe I suck at modelling buildings, or I suck at making models, but I'm really good at making maps. I'm not going to fault anyone for that. And if it looks and feels right, then it's not really a problem. I think we still haven't heard anything about... looks like the roller's finished. We haven't heard anything about the next version of Farming Simulator. So if it is Farming Simulator 25, everything's going to reset again, and we're going to have to wait for new maps to come out. Oxygen David may re-release some of his Farming Simulator 23 maps. Much like Farming Simulator 19, we got some of the Farming Simulator 17 maps ported over. Black Sheep, pretty much always his first map is the Old Stream Farm, but it's not the Old Stream Farm you played in the last version of the game. It's something that feels, it has the same feeling without being the same map. One of the things, I know some people didn't like Old Stream 19 because it had a modern BGA, it had a brand new modern vehicle store, or farm store. I actually did like it because almost it showed a progression of, you remember what Old Stream Farm used to be, and here was the BGA and here was the vehicle store. The vehicle store's now a gas station, and a new John Deere showroom has moved into the area, and it's all steel and glass and really high tech. But the old dealership was never demolished. It kind of became a car, the guy does car maintenance. I don't know, I think I'm probably going to have to go around again. Take your car to the old farm dealership, and there's a mechanic there who fixes cars and sells gasoline. The old BGA closed down, brand new BGA, but you still could see the remnants of the old BGA. The roads in and out of it were still there, but some of the buildings had been demolished. The digester had been demolished. So it was sort of it was Old Stream Farm 17, but progress into the modern era. There were elements of modern buildings appearing there. I haven't really taken a big look at Old Stream Farm 22. I just did a quick get in, see what it's like type of thing. Again, it's different, but it has the character. And so, Farm Sim 25 comes out. Black Sheep's still producing stuff for Farming Simulator. we will probably see a new imagination or imagining of the old Stream Farm. And maybe for Farm Sim 25 it's time I went back to it, because I haven't played it properly since Farm Sim 17. But it's, you know, we will likely have a new map from Oxygen David, which is completely brand new and different to the ones he's done before. We might get to see Calmstone 25. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe since Farm Sim 22 he's just gone off and said, you know what, I'm not going to redo any old maps. All of my maps are going to be new. And okay, good for him. It does make his maps more interesting. My big series in Farm Sim 19 was Oakfield Farm. And that was because I played Lawfolds in 17 almost exclusively. And I'd never taken a look at Oakfield, Lone Oak. Lone Oak I had played with Arthur. But most of the other Oxygen David maps I'd kind of looked at. I'd watched Daggerwin or Virtual Farmer play on them, but I hadn't experienced them for myself. But Oakfield Farm was a new thing for me in 19. I think Maypole was in Farm Sim 19, but again I hadn't really played any of the Cavalier Roy maps in 19 because I was playing Oakfield. So that was another, that was branching out into a new thing. Now that we're at 3-year intervals on Farming Simulator, I'm probably more inclined to play 2 maps per game as the Saturday series, rather than just playing one forever. Farm Sim 19 kind of caught us out, I think. We were all expecting Farm Sim 19, in 2 years' time it'll be Farm Sim 21. So I really wasn't looking to change the map for Farm Sim 19, and then they announced, oh, we're extending to the next version will be 22. I said, well, I get an extra year on Oakfield Farm. But it wasn't I've been playing this farm for way too long, I want to switch to something different. In this case, I kind of did, not because there's anything wrong with Maypole, but because I'd kind of got to a point where the farm was in easy mode. We were making a ton of cash. We had all the cows, all the productions, and it was just, it felt kind of, I'm just going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be buying a couple of new fields every year, and it was becoming stale because where we were. We could afford anything we want, we could buy any land we wanted, etc, etc. This gameplay, we're still struggling at the beginning. We do have a lot of really nice equipment, but it's all used, and it's all going to cost us money to keep running. This tractor, already down to 89%, so is the trailer. Going to need to be fixed before the end of the day. The harvester, probably going to need to be fixed after the current job. So at some point I'm going to look at it and say, you know what, this harvester is costing me way too much to keep running. What I need to do is now move on, buy something bigger. But we don't have much. We have a good amount of fields, but it's not a lot of fields. I still, as I keep saying, I still want the 4 grass fields around this yard. But they're way too overpriced at the moment. We now want to get into arable farming. Now that I've got an arable harvester, I would like to get more into arable farming. To do that, I need to buy the fields that are really set up for that. But because the core content of our farm has been silage of some sort, form or another, we're going to keep up with the silage. And it's good income. I mean, it's probably the best income in Farming Simulator. And you know, in part we're different this time because I'm not. While we do now own balers, I'm not doing bales on our farm. I'm doing bales as contracting, methods of contracting. Although we've already proved that baling contract does not need to be baled. You can use a loading wagon. If you can make raw silage on a field, you can use a loading wagon for silage contracts. You can't, so that's kind of a problem. But you want to do hay contracts, you can do that with a loading wagon. You can make the hay and get out there and just collect it and deliver it. The hay making contracts do not require you to deliver bales, and in actual fact, if you deliver it loose, you can deliver a far more precise amount of hay to complete the contract. So if you were growing sheep and needed hay, you could hold on a significant amount more than you can with the bales, especially now because the bales are multiple sizes. Well, we're still on the headland. Yes, indeed. So if you make the big hay bales, they're 9,000 litres, 8,000 litres. If all you need is 1,000 litres to complete the contract, you're going to get paid for an extra 7,000. It's not going to be available to feed your sheep with. Whereas if you're playing loose, I can drop 1,000 litres at the delivery point. All of the rest of the hay is mine. But it's the first time I've done it that way. But using a loading wagon to do hay contracts is a pain, because you can't ship as many bales or you can't fit as much produce in a loading wagon as you can as bales on the back of the bale trailer. We done? Are you going to run up the end now? I guess yes, you are. So this guy is going to run across the top and then come down on the far side. What I might do is let him start the row and then we'll go cut the corner on the northeast side of this field. I'll then let him complete the rest of the first row and we'll do the southeast corner as well. So you dude, you can get started now. Go around here. That gets him just inside the row. Oops. And we'll turn him off. Oops, I'm in the wrong truck. Okay, turn him off. Turn on the engine. Drive backwards. Okay. We'll chop the corn through into the edge. Hopefully I'm close enough. I'm not close enough. Yeah. I now have a big enough area. Oh, that I can't turn around in. Good job. Oh, let's just drive up the hedge. Or not. The problem is I cannot straighten that trailer out sufficiently. There we go. There we go. So if I drive up alongside him here, he should, yay. Do you not have anything to shoot? Okay. Oops. Missed a bit, and that is all of it, yay. I can drive around him here, and I can get that bit that he missed in that corner. That was close enough. Okay, so now if we pull up the courseplay panel, we'll do nearest waypoint, we'll set him to go, and because he's already established in this row, he is good enough to keep on going where I want him to go, rather than just make it up as you go along. Off we go. And then potentially I get to the bottom edge. How do I want to do the bottom edge? We'll think about it. Oh, it's going to rain. Is it really? Let's check the weather. I'm thinking the weather is going to be bad. Yeah, 8 o'clock.